And joining us right now is Representative Byron Donalds of Florida. And Congressman, thanks for joining us this morning. How are you?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Well, I'm good. I'm confused, though, man. I saw you on Brett Baier last night, and you're either 7'2", or your colleague, Jared Moskowitz from Florida, is like 5'1". That was a weird image of the two of you next to each other.
Yeah, well, look, Jared and I, we actually served together in the state legislature. So when they were doing the side-by-side, he wanted a box.
He wanted a box.
He gave him the box, and then the box had him taller than me. So it was like, no, that's not going to work. I told him you got to get off the box. So.
He barely comes up to your shoulder. That's a great image. Anyway, you are standing tall in the House right now after the very, I think, healthy and passionate discussion about the direction of this GOP caucus and the leadership with Kevin McCarthy acceding to many of the things that you spearheaded there. We're now up and rolling, and I want you to tell me about the priorities right now, specifically on the Oversight Committee, because so much is going to go on there with your chairman, Mr. Comer, and specifically you guys are now looking at Twitter in a big way over the Hunter Biden story. What are you hoping to achieve there?
Well, the biggest thing we're hoping to achieve is to uncover what is pretty apparent, and that's that we have agents in our government who have used the power of the federal government to suppress free speech. That is a fundamental violation of the United States Constitution. And if it's happened at Twitter, it's happened at the other social media companies. And frankly, it's probably happening with large media, all the time. But a lot of the reporters might try to hide behind sources, but this stuff is happening all the time, and it's pervasive. Look, our government's job is to follow the Constitution and do what it is legally obligated to do, not to try to set narratives and to suppress speech amongst the American people.
Congressman, you're right, 100%, and I agree with you. But specific to this issue, it goes well beyond just a violation of free speech, because this had to do with Hunter Biden's laptop, a story that was suppressed 3 weeks before the election. This is election tampering. The intent was to sway the electorate, and I think that has even larger ramifications.
Well, I agree, and the point you're making is one that we want to let the evidence chain really lay itself out before we start making that argument. But that's number one. That's one of the key things for me, is that as much as the Democrats have been saying that, Russia interfered in our elections, if you start to look at some of these timelines, it becomes somewhat clear to me that you have elements of our own government who have interfered in elections. If buying Facebook ads was good enough for Russia in 2016, what has FBI, CDC, and other outfits been doing, whether it's the midterm elections or even the 2020 elections?
So, Congressman Donalds, shifting gears just a little bit. I mean, next week we're going to hear from President Biden, his State of the Union address. And I think he's been previewing a little bit of some of his arguments, talking about bashing MAGA Republicans and scaring people into believing that the conservatives want to, cut Social Security and Medicare. And frankly, just saying that we want the debt ceiling. We're not willing to raise the debt ceiling. So talk to us. I mean, can you push back on some of these arguments that the White House is starting to float, and what are you looking for, or what are you expecting to hear from the president next week?
Oh, of course, we could push back on that because their arguments are dumb, frankly. They make no sense at all. This guy was saying he didn't even want to negotiate, and that was negotiating was going to be wrong. Look, the first thing I've been telling a lot of the press has been, how come Joe Biden's going to be a month late on his budget? He is required by law to deliver his budget to Congress next week. He's saying he's going to be a month late. So if he's going to say that we should be responsible and tell him what our cuts are going to be or what our savings are going to be, actually, by law, the president is the first one to be talking about what are the spending priorities of the country, and he's going to be late delivering his budget. That's one. Number two, nobody in the Republican conference is talking about Social Security and Medicare in relation to the debt ceiling. I want to say that again so even the news media understands. Nobody in the Republican conference is talking about Social Security and Medicare in relation to the debt ceiling. So let's go ahead and take that off the table. But the third piece is this. Joe Biden and the Democrats have used the pandemic to raise non-defense discretionary spending of about 200% through the pandemic. One of the things that we're saying is why don't we, if pandemic is over, according to Joe Biden as of May 11th, we'll get to that in a second. If the pandemic is over, why don't we just return spending to pre-pandemic levels?
Yeah. Our guest is Representative Byron Donalds of Florida, and you've been here, coming to work in D.C. now for about, I guess you're in your 5th year. So you're a long way from Tallahassee, sir. And as you know and as you've seen, D.C. has some serious problems with violent crime, and now problems, I think, they're trying to move to let non-citizens vote in the District of Columbia. The Oversight Committee has a responsibility to block legislation coming out of the District Council, because they are not a state, that is detrimental to the way of life here in D.C. and also detrimental to American citizens who are coming here to rightfully and legally petition their representatives. Do you believe that the direction the D.C. government is going right now is counter to what you believe the federal district should be doing?
Absolutely, 100%. And also considering that a good portion of their funding comes from the federal government directly, because it is a federal enclave, not a state. We're going to have a lot to say about this. But listen, New York has tried this thing where they're trying to let non-citizens vote in non-federal elections. That is a violation of federal law, in my opinion. They are not naturalized citizens of the United States. So no, you cannot allow them to vote in municipal elections. Is just flat out wrong, and we're going to have a lot to say about that as well.
Specific to crime, Mayor Bowser tried to veto this rewriting of the criminal code. She was overrode. This will be law unless the Oversight Committee blocks it. Will you vote to block this?
Oh, 100%. Actually, there's a resolution that some members right now are creating to tackle this very thing. But yeah, I'll definitely be voting against what they're trying to do in the D.C. Council, because yes, it will cause harm. I mean, not just to the residents of the District of Columbia, but also to the people who come from all over the planet to to see the nation's capital. Mm-hmm. Yep. We can't allow that.
So, Congressman, I know you saw the political theater yesterday. It was on full display. I would just love for you to respond to the Cori Bush, your colleague Cori Bush, who called you a prop just a matter of a couple of weeks ago, but then was yesterday defending and claiming that what we saw was racism against Ilhan Omar.
Yeah,
what's your
Congressman
take on
Donalds,
that?
why are you bringing your white supremacy down to the floor of the House against Ilhan Omar? That's mean.
I mean, look, first of all, with Cori, I don't even respond to her anymore, because every argument she makes says it's all white supremacy. I mean, economic theory is white supremacy. The fact that we're trillions in debt is white supremacy. I mean, she's ridiculous. I don't even give her comments. Who I really will respond to is AOC, because she was in rare form yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
She was saying how there's a member of the House who threatened her life and got put on committees. Well, she's talking about Paul Gosar. But during the speaker's debate a month ago, she was caught on bad lip reading, having a full-throated conversation with Paul Gosar. So that's how much of this is just drama. Her and Paul Gosar were having a full conversation. She's grinning. Look, first of all, if you're threatening my life, I'm not having a conversation with you. I don't even want you in my orbit. But she's on the floor talking to the man a month ago, and now she wants to come out here with fake tears, talking about how she was threatened. This was the drama from Democrats yesterday. Because it's true, y'all. Because they've had 2 times to censure Ilhan Omar when they were in charge, and both times, they either watered it down or they tabled the motion. So when they didn't take care of stuff in their own house, now we got to take care of it for them. It's that simple.
Representative Byron Donalds, we've been watching you for a while. We are so happy to have you on the show. Please don't be a stranger. And honestly, real fast, the fact that you called Joy Reid out and then said, you know, stop calling me names, Joy. Let's actually talk about it. And good for you. She had you on set. It was great television. It was a great conversation. And you just make me proud to be a Republican. So thanks for joining us today.
Same here. Yep.
Anytime, guys. It was fun. Have a good morning.